If you're a man over 40, 50, 60 or beyond and you feel like you've got low energy, or it's tough to get rid of the stubborn belly fat, or maybe you go to work out and you feel really weak when you're in the gym, or you may just not feel like yourself anymore. Well, if that's you, then listen up, because in this episode, I'm going to be breaking down the 10 commandments for naturally increasing testosterone. And this is literally the framework that I've used over the last 8 years to help thousands and thousands and thousands of men inside my Over 40 Alpha Brotherhood program to naturally boost their testosterone, to regain their masculinity, and literally transform their health and life. So by the end of this episode, you're not only going to know what habits to add, you're also going to know which ones to destroy, so you can walk away with 10 simple but powerful rules to reclaim your strength, your drive, your confidence, and of course, naturally increase your testosterone levels. Are you ready? Let's get it done and let's get started.
Welcome to the Over 40 Alpha Podcast with your host, Funk Roberts.
Hey, Funk Roberts, former professional athlete and now fitness expert specifically for men in their 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s. And today I'm excited because I am going to break down the top 10, the 10 commandments of naturally increasing testosterone. And I'm not talking about injections. I'm not talking about steroids. I'm not talking about TRT or any crazy shortcuts. I'm actually talking about naturally rebooting your hormones, right? The number one male hormone, by the way, and the way that it's supposed to be increased, right? Which is naturally. And I'm going to break this down using a lot of the proven strategies that you find inside my Metatest Boost system. Again, that's aligned with workouts, mindset, nutrition, recovery, just lifestyle, everything that when you put into place, you will naturally increase testosterone. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. One of the things that's happening right now, even in 2025, low testosterone continues to be an epidemic, right? Specifically for men over 40. But I mean, this is an epidemic across all ages. Well, not all ages, but even guys in their 20s are now starting to suffer more from low testosterone. And even with all of the information we know, even with all of the info we know, the technology, the medical advancements, this still continues to be an epidemic. I'm very close to this, not just because I have I've got my certification testosterone hormone specialist, but also because I see this all the time inside my Men Over 40 Brotherhood program. They're coming in all the time. And it's always the same thing. Fatigue. You may have erectile dysfunction. You may have decreased muscle mass. So you may be like either skinny fat or just really pudgy. You may have belly fat, like you just can't get rid of the belly fat. You may have mood changes. These are things that happen to me. Depression, a low sex drive, and even brain health issues. And these are all symptoms of having low testosterone. And when you do have low testosterone, you're actually putting yourself at a higher risk of things like diabetes, things like high cholesterol, high blood pressure, cardiovascular disease. So this isn't just about regaining the manhood or building muscle. This is literally about your life, your health. Your entire health, your entire being. And knowing now that like 40% of men have low testosterone. And when we talk about low testosterone, this is kind of like, what is low testosterone? And it's really weird. I don't want to go too deep into this, but like, if you go and get your testosterone levels checked, by the way, which I also understand doctors are very hesitant to do this. Doctors actually don't like testing for testosterone, and again, this depends on where. I have many doctor friends and hormone specialists that I've talked to over the years and have relationships with, and sometimes comes down to just the medical society that they're part of telling me, hey, it's really expensive to do these tests. So there's always a pushback. Like whenever I tell my guys to get their testosterone levels checked, there's always a pushback. That's why I partnered with a company to have my own Alpha Max test testosterone kits, but I'm not here to promote that. I'm actually here to tell you that you need to push back. When they're pushing back against you, you need to push right back and tell them how important getting your testosterone levels checked are. But, I think what happens is because there's such a reluctance to do it, and also because most men kind of just try to I'm just going to bear it, grin and bear it because I'm 40, I'm 50, I'm 60. And isn't this what's supposed to happen? Aren't I supposed to feel fatigued? Aren't I supposed to have this belly fat that I can't get rid of? Aren't I supposed to have the dad bod? 100% no. You're not supposed to have it. You're supposed to be and you can be in the best shape of your life. I see it every freaking day. So the goal here is to understand testosterone, right? The levels. And I'm just going to go at a total testosterone level, high level. Right now, when you get your T levels checked, you're going to get them checked, and the doctor is going to tell you, okay, well, if you're between 200 nanograms per deciliter and 800 nanograms per deciliter, or, and again, that changes per year, then you're normal. But does that even make sense? How can such a massive range, 200 to 800, be normal? That makes no sense, right? And there is no sense, like, inside of our program. And so if you were to ask me, okay, Funk, what should I be striving for? I'm going to tell you 600 nanograms per deciliter, because that's our KPI in our program. We have KPIs, key performance indicators, right? We when people come in and they start implementing the things that I'm going to share with you today, the 10 Commandments, and they do it on a consistent basis, you depending on when they're coming in and how much their testosterone, their total T, we'll just talk about total T right now, where it is right now, and where they want to strive to get to. The minimum is getting to 600. That's when you reach what we call the alpha zone inside our program. And then you want to continue to get to 800 and 900, etc. So, that's that. But again, this range of 200 to 800, and you come in and your T levels are 200 or 300 or even 400, you're probably going to feel all of the things that I talked about: fatigue, low sex drive, difficulty building muscle, mood changes, erectile dysfunction. Like, all of those things are tied to our number one male hormone, which, by the way, naturally decreases 1% to 2% after the age of 30. So by the time you reach 40, by the time you're even starting to really feel a lot of these side effects, your T levels are probably completely dropped. I'm going to tell you a quick little story about it. Literally, this just happened. This happened a few years back, and then a similar story, but then it happened again. And I just want to call to this story because one of the guys in my program, when he joined the Over 40 Alpha Brotherhood program, we'll just call him Mike for the sake of argument. I'll call him Carl because that's the name I call everybody. I call everyone Carl. I think Carl's about 47 years old. He was overweight, because most guys who join my program are overweight. They're out of shape. They've got chronic health issues, whatever it is. They're not coming in the program ripped and lean and shredded, right? That's a lot of people think that that's how my program is, but it's literally the opposite. People do become lean, ripped, and shredded, but they're not coming in that way. He's overweight. He was struggling with energy. He's actually falling asleep at work. That was one of the things he said. I'm falling asleep at work. I've got no sex drive. So that kind of put friction with his wife. And he literally felt like his life was slipping through his fingers, right? Like, he just felt like he had he wasn't feeling like himself to begin with. And then he just felt like all of these things that he used to have, a grip on, was slowly slipping through his fingers. And so, join the program. Usually one of the first things I tell people to do is get your testosterone levels checked, get some blood work done so we know where you're at. And so that's what he did. And he came back, it was like 200 nanograms per deciliter. And I remember how devastated he felt, because he thought that his testosterone levels were going to be high. Now, granted, he didn't really understand testosterone, right? Because even when the very first time, at 39, when I was going through all the things I was going through, difficulties, I didn't understand that testosterone had an effect on so many different things. I just thought, well, I'm a big guy. I go, to strip joints. I do all these things. I hang out with, I party. I'm, whatever. Then that must mean I have a lot of testosterone, but it's totally the opposite. Right? So even for him, it was so devastating. I had to continue to tell him, buddy, don't worry about it. Carl, don't worry. Don't worry. This is where you're at today, but we're gonna flip the script. We're gonna flip the script. We're going to make changes, and that's what happened, right? He started to commit to and follow the 10 Commandments that I'm going to talk about today, literally. And within 6 months, not only did he lose 35 pounds, but he had his energy back. He started to build muscle. Obviously, the transformation's happening. But he told me word for word, he said, Funk, I feel like I've been reborn. And then he got his testosterone levels checked. And they were like almost tripled. It was like 560 nanograms per deciliter. And now, right, like as today, it's well over 700. But it's like the feeling of feeling reborn at 47, right? And that's really the power of naturally increasing your testosterone level. Remember, wherever you're at today doesn't mean that you're going to be there in 2 months and 3 months, specifically if we go through these 10 commandments. So let's get started. Let's break these down. We're going to have some fun, but really and truly, these are what I feel are the 10 commandments. These aren't the only things, but if you get these things in place, you're definitely going to be on the journey of naturally increasing your testosterone levels. So, number 1 commandment, thou shalt lift weights. Okay, thou shalt lift weights. What does that mean? Well, that means I need you to prioritize, and I don't want to say strength training. I need you to prioritize resistance training, right? Resistance training using compound movements. And I'm not talking about the big 3 lifts like back squats, deadlifts, bench press. Are you going to squat? Yes. But not back squats. We're going to do other squats. We're going to master movements with body weight squats, but then we're going to add resistance like dumbbell squats, right? Dumbbell squats, suitcase squats, or goblet squats when you're holding the dumbbell up here. We're going to add resistance. We want to start building muscle, right? Are we going to do big deadlifts with the barbell? No, we don't need to be doing deadlifts with a barbell at 40, 50, 60, 70, unless you're actually going to be doing powerlifting. There's no need for us, but deadlifts are very important. So dumbbell deadlifts, kettlebell deadlifts, still using that posterior chain hip hinge movement because it's a very functional movement, but using different resistance. And then presses too. Presses, rows, all with dumbbells, maybe resistance bands, kettlebells, what have you. But we need to be prioritizing resistance training first, doing it. First, we need to ensure that we can do it just using our body weight, right? So in my program, the very first phase, it's a mixture between body weight and dumbbells, but really and truly mastering the movement is going to be key because a lot of guys at 40, 50, 60, 70 who haven't been in the gym for a long time, right? You don't even know the proper movement. And it's not your fault. It's just if you haven't been doing something for a while, it's very difficult for us to recall how to exactly do a squat, exactly do a press, exactly do a deadlift, a row, specifically from way back when we were doing it, we were probably doing it wrong anyway, right? We weren't probably focusing on keeping the elbows tight, rowing back by the hips, right? So just getting the body weight, master movement, and then adding weights are perfect. Resistance and doing this 3 to 4 times per week. What does this do? Well, lifting, using resistance, heavy, and I'm saying heavy because let's just say we do this in a 6-month window, right? We implement all these 10 commandments and we, within the first month, and then we do this for 6 months. Well, we're going to continuously, progressively overload our muscles and our body with weight, with movements, with variations, etc. And so we're always going to be increasing weight. One of the things I say inside the Brotherhood, it's like, this is one of the things that used to happen inside my Over 40 Alpha program. So the first year in the program is called 1 year to Alpha. This is like everyone does 1 year to Alpha, right? It's 1 year program. And after that year, you become an Alpha OG. We have so many Alpha OGs in this program. Imagine these guys doing a program like nutrition, workouts, recovery, like they don't get injured throughout this whole year. And, and their bodies obviously completely change. Hormones change, bodies change. They're in great shape for a year. And then after that year's done, there's another 12 phases, another year called Alpha Prime. And earlier, when I first started to build out this program, probably this is year number 8, so like 6 or 5 years ago, I started to see, like, because inside of our Facebook group, we post our after workouts. We call them sweaty selfies. We post our pics, right, and we do accountability. And I started to look at people's bodies, and they weren't really changing. Like after that first year, oh, amazing. But then afterwards, they weren't changing. So I had a heart to heart with my entire brotherhood, pretty much, in a coaching call. And what happened was guys were just literally still using the same weight that they used when they, like 6 months in. Like for example, if they were using 25-pound dumbbells for curls in month number 6, they were still using the same 25-pound dumbbells for curls in month number 13. And so that was an aha moment, not only for them, but also for me, to ensure that I always emphasized in the upcoming workouts, because all my workouts are follow along, that you've got to increase weight or like obviously variations. There's more to progressively overload than the weight. But the whole point I'm trying to make is when I talk about lifting heavy or increasing weight, we always have to be triggering the anabolic hormonal response, which is our muscle building response, because that's going to directly increase our testosterone levels. That's really going to help. And the workouts are very short. They're 30-minute workouts using compound movements, right? So compound exercises, recruiting as many muscle groups as possible, specifically for, and most of my workouts are total body. Of course, there's some that change. When you have 3 years of programming, every phase is different. But the point is, we want to continuously recruit as many large muscle groups as possible. And what this will do is we'll send a strong signal to the endocrine system, which is saying, hey man, we're building muscle. We're going to improve our insulin sensitivity, which is going to lower body fat, because the more muscle we have, the more metabolic we're going to be, which means the less body fat we're going to have. And all of those things will not only help us build muscle and fight sarcopenia, but also it's key to optimizing our testosterone levels. Right. So the type of training that we do inside of my program, it's metabolic resistance training. So again, we're not in the gym for an hour. We're not doing bro split workouts. We don't got time for that. We're doing 30-minute metabolic resistance training. Don't get it twisted with HIIT training. People get it twisted with HIIT training. It's like, what are you talking about? What are you even talking about? Like, do you know how many? Anyways, I'm not even going to get into it. Metabolic training. Go on YouTube and look for one of my metabolic muscle workouts and tell me if that's HIIT training for you. Tell me if that's cardio for you. Let me know how that goes for you. Anyways, thou shalt lift weights. That's number 1. Number 2, thou shalt prioritize deep sleep. Hey man, we got to get 7 to 9 hours of high quality, uninterrupted sleep every night. And listen, the reason why I'm saying 7 to 9 is because if you focus on getting 7 to 9 hours, that means you have a better chance of getting deep sleep, because it's not 7 to 9 hours of deep sleep. It's 7 to 9 hours of high quality sleep. But within that high quality sleep, we're trying to get deep sleep. We're trying to get the 2 hours, 2.5 hours of real good REM, REM, and deep sleep, those cycles, because those are the cycles. Over 90% of our daily testosterone is produced during sleep, specifically during those 2 times, when you're getting good, deep sleep, good REM cycles. Because poor sleep, literally, there's been studies that show poor sleep decreases testosterone. Men who only sleep 5 hours a night for 4 days straight, they saw a decrease in testosterone levels by 10 to 15%. Versus guys who, in the same study, had 7 to 8 hours. And in fact, the decrease in testosterone, I think, is even more. It's even more. Because poor sleep equals high cortisol. Poor sleep equals low T. Poor sleep equals not setting up your body for the environment to produce testosterone. Like there's a whole production that goes behind testosterone production. There's a whole production that goes behind testosterone production. And that whole production, starting from the hypothalamus and, the gonadotropin hormone gets released, and it gets to the pituitary gland. The pituitary gland releases follicle stimulating hormones and luteinizing hormone. It goes all the way down to the Leydig cell. The luteinizing hormone knocks on the door of the Leydig cell and says, hey, where's the cholesterol? And if there's cholesterol in there, then that's when testosterone starts the production. The follicle hormone goes to the testes, and it's a production, baby. And throughout the day, your hypothalamus, your pituitary glands, they're just monitoring everything. But that whole production happens during deep sleep and REM. And if you don't have that, you're not setting yourself up for testosterone production to begin with. So really, truly changing our behavior and changing our thought about how we our behavior with sleep needs to change, right? And it's so, I'm not sure when this episode's coming out, but like, for those of you who don't know, I'm just finishing up my master's at Harvard University in business innovation and entrepreneurship, right? And this specific semester is on innovation and creativity, and the project that we have to do in this semester is solving the Sustainable Development Goals. And so these are the goals that the United Nations have that they're failing on. And so we are tasked to pick one of the 17 goals, pick one of the topics inside of one of the main topics, subtopics, and then fix it. What would we do to fix it? How would we use innovation? How would we use creativity to fix it? So we're working on sleep. That's one of them. So that's one thing that I'm working on right now, right? So that's how deep I am. And the second thing is getting my certification as a sleep coach. Third thing is we're actually going to be having a sleep challenge, a 4-week sleep challenge. Myself and online sleep coach Nick Lamb, who's been on this podcast before. And so the amount of knowledge, research, everything that I've been ingesting regarding sleep, and knowing that this is literally a low-hanging fruit. Like, it's so like, we don't have to like buy stuff and like change, we obviously have to change our behavior, but this is one of those things that you don't have to really buy, but it has so much, the byproduct of getting deep sleep, 7 to 9 hours sleep on our entire life, not just testosterone, but health, chronic health, decreasing in chance of chronic health, our body transformation, building muscle, burning fat, losing weight, our mental health, our stress levels, our daily energy, and the list goes on and on and on. Relationships with other people. It is unbelievable how something so natural as sleep. And we are also in an epidemic of sleep. We have a big problem with sleep. 80% of adults, specifically in the US, but probably around most of the world, will say that they've had 1 or 2 or 3 bad nights of sleep. 50% literally have sleep issues. That's insane. So just focusing on changing the behavior and changing the way you think about sleep and prioritizing sleep. Listen, you may only get 6 hours sleep, but if 3 of those hours was deep sleep, you're probably going to be really good. So you got to prioritize deep sleep. And when it comes to testosterone, that's super key, because that's literally when production happens, during that time. So thou shalt prioritize deep sleep. Let's move on to number 3. Number 3, thou shalt master thy nutrition. Nutrition, baby. That's right. Sing it, Yod. Sing it, Yod. That's my cat in the back, if you heard that. Nutrition. You can't out-train a bad diet, and you can't out-hormone a bad diet, if that even makes sense. No, but really and truly, like, when it comes to nutrition, we want to eat 3 balanced plate meals a day. Okay, we're not doing all of these fad diets, okay? We're not doing keto, we're not doing low carb, low fat, 1 meal a day, paleo, all these crazy restrictive diets or fad diets that are out there. Because a lot of these diets, like keto used to be called a different diet that had a different name back in the 90s that I even tried. Right? Like, all of these diets that people are talking about are just like, they just rebrand them. right? And then just, they repackage, they rebrand them, and here it is. Oh, here it is. Atkins. The Atkins diet is actually the keto diet. It's literally the same thing. So it's like we're not doing that right now. We're in our 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, a whole different physiological change that happens in our body. So we need to be eating 3 balanced plate meals, all balanced plate, which means that you need to have a source of healthy fats, a source of complex carbs, a source of protein, and a source of vegetables or fruits. Why? Why do you need this, Funk? Well, because all of the macronutrients and micronutrients, by the way, are going to play a factor in our hormones, right? Of course, protein, that's going to support lean muscle. That's going to support recovery. Those are the building blocks of our bones, our muscles, or they're the metabolic processes that happen in our body. That's where protein is. Fat loss, all those things. That's protein. But when it comes to, I don't know if you remember, but when I was breaking down quickly the production that goes on with testosterone, remember that whole production I was talking about where it starts in the hypothalamus. Hypothalamus releases gonadotropin hormone, which then goes to the pituitary gland. Pituitary gland releases follicle stimulating hormone and luteinizing hormone that travels down the body to the follicle stimulating hormone. They go to the testes, but then the luteinizing hormones goes to the Leydig cell, and then I just generally say it knocks on the door of the Leydig cell. Leydig opens it, and then the luteinizing hormone's looking for cholesterol because that is the precursor to testosterone production. Cholesterol, good cholesterol, is the precursor to testosterone production. So if you don't have cholesterol, you don't have testosterone. And of course, our body naturally produces cholesterol, but again, we want to make sure that our nutrition has cholesterol. So healthy fats, eggs, avocado, olive oil, grass-fed butter, Brazil nuts, great for healthy fats. And you also need carbs, because carbs not only will help with our metabolism, because carbohydrates, complex carbohydrates, not simple carbs, complex carbs, right? Sweet potatoes, rice, steel cut oats, quinoa, good, even potatoes, really good complex carbs. Those are the ones that will, they support our thyroid, which is our metabolism. Our thyroid hormone is responsible for metabolism, also gives us energy, also helps reduce cortisol, specifically after your workout. So you're doing your post-workout meal. And then it also tells your brain that, hey man, we're good, right? It's energy, right? Carbs are energy. When you go on a carb deficit for a long period of time, what is one of the first few things that you feel? You feel low energy, and you feel like you don't have any, your brain function starts to diminish, right? Because carbs will fuel our brain, feed our brain, tell our brain, hey man, it's good for us to reproduce and get these hormones going. And then of course the micronutrients that come from fruits and vegetables, magnesium and zinc and all of these, selenium and all these great micronutrients that come from, the vegetables that we eat. The antioxidants come from the berries. All of those things also help with testosterone, support your testosterone. They help with testosterone production. So we need to have a balanced plate meal. 3 of them. Breakfast, lunch, dinner, meal 1, meal 2, meal 3, whatever you call it. But that's the nutrition. And then obviously getting rid of all the crappy foods, but we'll get to that in a second. Number 4 is thou shalt eliminate thy belly fat. Hey man, it's not cool to have the dad bod. I continue to say this over and over again. And I honestly think that men at this time, they don't think it's cool either. I honestly think that we're over the hump of the dad bod looks great. I think it was Leo DiCaprio. I honestly remember, and this may not have been the catalyst, but I do remember this as a catalyst. May not have been the one, but I remember, I don't know how many years ago it was. I think it was after Django. I think it was after he did the movie Django. Leo was on the beach with all these women. All these women were around him, right? And he had the dad bod. He had a big belly, and he had no shirt on, and he was draped with women. And it's like, yeah, look at Leo. He's got the dad bod. He's 40 years old, or however old he was, and it's cool, guys. See, Leo DiCaprio has it, so it must be cool for all guys to have it. See, this is what happens, man. It's okay for you to have the dad bod. Hey. It's Leo DiCaprio. First and foremost, he's a freaking actor, and his body changes with movies. 2 months from that picture, he could have been lean and shredded for another role. Number 2, it's Leo. Okay, he's a celebrity. Doesn't matter what you look like, you're going to be draped with women, no matter where you are or who you are. If you're a celebrity, there's going to be women. Right? So let's not get it twisted here. And you never, ever, ever base anything that you do on celebrities. What are you, insane? What are you, 19, 18, 15 years old? No. But I do think now in 2025, we're over that. We've learned that dad bods actually literally are killing you. But we want to get rid of this. We want to implement a fat loss strategy focused on metabolic training, which we talked about, focused on meal timing and nutrition, which we just talked about, and clean eating, which is part of your Metatest Boost nutrition, part of nutrition for men over 40, part of eating a balanced plate meal while getting rid of all the crappy foods. Why? Because visceral fat is hormonally active and it converts testosterone into estrogen. The more fat you have, specifically visceral, that's the fat that's right around your organs. It's a fat that kills you, actually. It's a fat that, that really and truly does damage to your health, along with converting testosterone through aromatase, the aromatase enzyme, to estrogen, which is a female hormone. We need a little bit of estrogen, but too much estrogen gives us belly fats, gives us man boobs, and the hormonal imbalance that happens when you have too much of estrogen is insane. So when we lose belly fat, that's going to allow us to reestablish a hormonal balance. It's going to allow us to increase free testosterone. It's going to allow us to reduce inflammation. And really and truly, it's crucial for our vitality. We should not be in our 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, and beyond carrying around belly fat. It's not cool, man. The beer belly and dad bod is not cool. So number 4, eliminate thy belly fat. Number 5, thou shalt crush chronic stress. Now, this is a little bit harder than I'm just saying, hey man, just get rid of the chronic stress. But really, once again, this is a behavioral shift. This is a mindset shift. Chronic stress elevates cortisol. Chronic stress. Now, we do need cortisol. Cortisol is a stress hormone. So there is times throughout the day that your cortisol levels are going to be elevated. Like after a workout, when you wake up, like right now as I'm recording this, my cortisol levels are probably high. They're probably elevated because this is like fight or flight. You have to be focused, right? And that's what cortisol is, like that fight or flight stress hormone that after a workout, when you do your cool down, when you start, nutrition, post-workout nutrition, all of those things, the workouts aren't too long, 30 minutes, 35 minutes, 40 minutes tops. That's when your cortisol levels start to decrease, because that's when it's supposed to decrease. Cortisol levels at night should be low. In fact, what happens most of the time is we're bringing our stress to bed, which means cortisol will block melatonin, which is our natural sleep hormone. So chronic stress, which a lot of men carry because we don't put in the work, or we don't implement some of the practices that we can that will help with chronic stress. What are those things? Well, breath work, meditation, daily gratitude journaling, right? Maybe even some cold exposure in the morning, daily walks. Doesn't even have to be in nature, but if you live through nature, and just unplugging from the stupid phone, social media, and all of the daily stress, the news, all of that stuff that just feeding chronic stress, feeding foolishness that is not healthy to your mind, your body, your soul, and your hormones. So we need to lean into what most men would call woo-woo. Right? Breath, first and foremost, gratitude journaling. Like every morning, every single morning, Now, if you're listening to this, you can't see what I'm about to pull out. But this is the Function's gratitude journal right here. Like it starts off with 2 or 3 things per day, but then sometimes it ends up with 50 things per day because you start to focus on the positive, the things that you are grateful for, and then you just start to look at life differently. And what happens when you have gratitude all the time? You just kind of shake off and all of that negative energy that really and truly is not going to do anything for your life. It doesn't bring you any peace. Whereas the more you can focus on gratitude, the things you are thankful for, Because a lot of times we don't think about that, right? We take that for granted. We don't think about even the small things, even the things that, happen on a daily basis. Oh, I'm just thankful for, reconnecting with my buddy Chuck Basti today. It was nice to reconnect with someone who I hadn't talked to in a long time. I would write that in my gratitude journal tomorrow morning, because I generally do my gratitude journal in the morning from the day before. You do it anytime you want. I'm just saying that's when I do it. But that just kickstarts the day, and then you do some breath work. I do breath work. I do box breathing and different types of breath work, and I meditate and I read my Bible and I pray. Like those are the things that literally start the day off. But in the evening, we have to unplug. In the evening before we go to bed, because the morning time, maybe some people do that too. In the morning they get the breath work and meditation and go for walks and do the cold exposure and all that stuff. But it's night that they're struggling with. It's like, yeah, I know, Funk, I do that, but you know what? When I get to bed, I'm thinking about work, I'm thinking about what happened today, I'm thinking about this, I'm thinking about that. That's the most important time we need to disconnect. We gotta, because that cortisol, remember we talked about that cortisol, the chronic stress is blocking your melatonin. And cortisol is the enemy of testosterone. There is a tug of war going on. Again, there are times where you need that cortisol in the gym. There's a time and a place, but it's the chronic cortisol that is literally the enemy, right? So what do you do? What do we do? What can we do? Well, one of the things that I like to do before I go to bed is write down 3 things. And now this is something you have to practice over and over. It doesn't happen day number 1. Because whenever I tell somebody to do this, they're like, yeah, I tried writing the things down the other day, but it just didn't work. Hey man, it's not do it once. Do it for 30 days. Write down 3 things that you need to do the next day and write down the action plan so that you literally are writing it down, not thinking about it, not doing it on your phone, literally writing it on a piece of paper. The 3 major things you're going to do tomorrow. Write those down and the action plan that goes with it. And what happens? Oh, okay, I'm good. I wrote it down. I know exactly what I'm doing tomorrow. These are 3 things that I have to tackle tomorrow. Now I can go to sleep. And of course, this is not gonna solve everything in one day. Like people are so crazy to think that they just want that instant gratification. Do this for 30 days straight and see your life change. Your life's gonna change even before the 30 days, but do that for 30 days straight. Do the gratitude for 30 days straight, and you're gonna see a massive drop and also just a shift in your mindset. Because when you manage stress, it reduces the interference and allows your testes and the brain to resume that normal testosterone output. Just think about this. Like, remember, if you are carrying so much stuff up here in the brain, remember, this is where T production starts, up in the hypothalamus, right? That's where it starts. So want to keep a nice, clear mind, specifically during the time when testosterone production actually happens. Number 6, thou shalt avoid estrogenic toxins. Remember I talked about estrogen. It's a female hormone. Now we do need a little bit of estrogen. 100% we do. It's important. It's critical for our sexual health. But too much estrogen, that's when things go awry, right? Estrogen is again the enemy of testosterone. Again, elevated estrogen levels, which most men do. Most men have elevated estrogen levels. You see it physically, but you also see it in the way they interact, the lack of emotional intelligence. So how do we avoid estrogenic toxins? Well, we got to ditch the plastic. We got to ditch the BPA laced food containers. We got to get rid of processed soy, processed foods, chemical laden grooming products, those things. The things that are what we call endocrine disruptors. The phthalates, the parabens, the BPAs, those are endocrine disruptors. They mimic estrogen. They make you estrogenic. They make you and turn you into a female without you even wanting to become a female. They suppress your testosterone levels. And they literally throw off our natural hormonal balance. And not only that, that's also the things that signal the body to store more fat, to reduce fertility, right? And to really and truly decrease our masculine traits, the traits that make us a man, right? Again, we need a little bit, but not too much. And a lot of that is through those estrogenic toxins. So start eliminating. Again, you can't eliminate every single thing, but we have control over the things that we use. We have control over what we put in our body. We have control over our behaviors. We have control over the water that we drink. So avoid estrogenic toxins, number 6. Number 7, thou shalt move daily. I know the workouts piece is important, of course, but movement is insanely important, right? You need to incorporate some low intensity movements, like the 7 to 10K steps every day, right? Walking, stretching, mobility flows. Inside of the Brotherhood program, not only do we have 3 to 4 workouts a week, but we also have yoga, mobility, range of motion, stretching, things that you put in your recovery day so that A, you don't get injured, but B, we now are starting to, get that recovery piece, right? Because we don't recover like we used to as we get older. And we get injured much easier, specifically if we're just starting. So now we're implementing these things that not only will help us with movement, but it will also help us regulate our blood sugar, reduce inflammation, improve our cardiovascular health, just with these daily movements. So it's not just on the days that you're not working out, but get those 10K to 7 to 10K steps a day, right there. That non-exercise activity thermogenesis, that NEAT walking. That's it. That'll not only help with fat loss, but the less fat you have, it indirectly helps you with testosterone production. So making sure you get that movement every single day. Number 8, thou shalt supplement wisely. I put this as number 8 because it's just number 8. None of these are like anything general, but just there's some key natural testosterone boosting supplements that you want to implement, right? But again, these are supplements, so you're supplementing it with everything else. Don't do this first without committing to nutrition, the workouts, the stress, the sleep, starting to get rid of all of these estrogenic toxins. Like, don't start with the supplements. But if you are committed with all of those things and now we want to add supplements, that's cool. So supplements like zinc. Zinc is amazing for free testosterone. Magnesium. It's another great supplement. You're going to get magnesium from food, but adding some magnesium will help with total T, right? We need vitamin D3 and K2. Now, you definitely want to get that from the sun as much as possible, but a lot of us don't live in places that have sun all the time, right? We also know the importance of vitamin D3 and just our overall health. We also know that most men are deficient of vitamin D3. And if you are of dark skin color or black like I am, then right away you are more susceptible to low vitamin D3. So supplementing with it is crucial. But that also helps with testosterone. Tonkat Ali is another beautiful, amazing ingredient to help increase testosterone. Boron, another one that reduces excess estrogen. Yes, you can get that through food, but boron's another great supplement. Fedosia agrestis is another awesome testosterone boosting supplement or ingredient. Ashwagandha, another one. So those ones are great. Zinc, magnesium, vitamin D3, Tonkat Ali, boron, Fedosia agrestis, ashwagandha. There's many, many others. And of course, I've got my Alpha Max Test 3D, our all natural testosterone support supplement that has a lot of these ingredients and more, because it's not just about testosterone. It's metabolic health, it's muscle, it's lowering your chronic stress, your cortisol levels, it's balancing your estrogen, it's all of those things. But nutrients support testosterone production and improve a lot of things like your testicular health. It reduces stress, right? A lot of these, like ashwagandha, is really good for reducing stress, aids in sleep and recovery. That's magnesium, right? Recovery. So a lot, and as I mentioned before, a lot of men in their 40s, 50s, 60s are deficient in D3, vitamin D3, in K, in zinc, in magnesium. So all of these, just in general, are good to supplement with, but now adding it to the byproduct of it helping with testosterone synthesis, helping with naturally increasing testosterone is great. So supplementing with those, supplementing wisely is another commandment. Number 9 is fuel the alpha mindset, right? You want to listen, one of my biggest things right now is the new wave of man, right? In the Brotherhood, we have our manifesto, and our manifesto is based on creating a new wave of men, right? Men that are fueled with that alpha mindset. And not the alpha mindset that you're thinking, the alpha mindset that is related to having healthy testosterone levels, healthy hormonal health, healthy health in general, right? Things like building confidence, setting goals, competing in different things, surrounding yourself with other men on the same journey, other driven men, and living with purpose. We need to live with purpose. We need to stay outside of our comfort zone, like truly leaning into the alpha mindset, which is very uncomfortable for most men. Because most men do not like to stay outside their comfort zone. Most men are afraid of failure. The alpha mindset, the new wave of man, fails fast, learns fast, and progresses. Right? That's going to build your confidence. That's setting goals, completing those goals, competing. And again, the big one here is surrounding yourself with other men who are driven. Not weak men, not men who are pulling you back down, not the crab in the bucket, but men who are moving forward, who are doing or living the lifestyle that you know and need to live as a healthy man, because your mindset does impact your hormones. Right? Even there's studies that show that winning, like the more you win, right, the more you're respected, taking on leadership roles, that increases your testosterone levels. 100%. But the key is you've got to live with passion. You got to live with purpose, because what that's going to do is going to start to signal the brain to keep that T level going, baby. Because we got a lot of passion. We got a lot of purpose. We got a lot of drive that keeps us going. New things, learning new things. In order for us to do that, our body's going to adjust. Our body will adjust to the provide, protect, procreate, that strong, dominant, fertile man. Whether, you're able to procreate or not. Procreation is not just about having babies. It's about the relationship that you have with women, the relationship that you have with your family. But it's that alpha mindset. It's complete. You see it. You have the emotional intelligence. You're not reacting on emotions. You're taking a minute, reacting on facts. Okay, is this really what's happening? Know when to be the lion, know when to be the lamb. You're not toxic. That's all alpha mindset, and that's all driven by your T levels. Because the behavior that will start to impact your hormones. That's number 9. Number 10, thou shalt reject all low T lifestyle. Does that even make sense? You're going to reject sedentary living. You're going to reject porn. You're going to reject alcohol. You're going to reject junk food. You're going to reject weak habits that destroy your masculinity, period. So 8, 9, and 10 literally stack on each other. They all do, but you want to reject that, because in order to live the alpha mindset, you have to get rid of all of the things that are decreasing or are is a low testosterone lifestyle. That's the modern lifestyle right now for men is killing your T levels. Long hours sitting, eating processed foods, drinking, smoking weed, blue light at night, lack of physical health, lack of a physical challenge. All of these things are signaling your body to conserve energy, which means we're not producing testosterone. We got to flip that script, baby. We got to reject these habits. And it's difficult, I know. It's difficult to reject the habits that you've been hanging on to for so long. And I'm not judging. I've had those habits. I'm not judging. But we need to start letting go of all this stuff. Slowly but surely. Okay, I got to start with the porn. You got to start with the sedentary living. Get up and work out. Go for walks. Got to kick the alcohol. Got to get rid of all this stuff. Because it's just destroying you. And in our 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, our margin for error is very small. We can be in the best health and shape of our lives. I see it every day. But the margin for error is so small. We can't get away with all of the low T lifestyle habits and the weak mindset. We need to create a new wave of man, because we're the ones that are going to be we're going to be the ones that when shit hits the fan, the family comes to. You got gray hair, they're coming to you. And if you are weak and you're not prepared, oh man, what are you even doing? So let's start. Let's start implementing all of these natural testosterone boosting behaviors. Let's go through them quickly once again. The 10 commandments of naturally increasing your testosterone. Lift weights, baby. Number 1. Number 2, prioritize deep sleep. Get 3 to 4 hours of deep sleep if you can, 7 to 9 hours total. Thou shalt master your nutrition. 3 balanced plate meals per day, making sure you have a source of carbs, source of protein, source of vegetables and fruits, and most importantly, a source of healthy fats. Number 4, you want to eliminate thy belly fat. Get rid of the belly. Get rid of the beer belly and the dad bod. Number 5, crush your chronic stress. Let's start implementing behaviors that actually decrease chronic stress, right? Yes, there's a time and place for stress, but elevated cortisol, we want to eliminate. Number 6, thou shalt avoid estrogenic toxins. There are a ton of estrogenic toxins in our lives. We need to start getting rid of those because they mimic estrogen. Estrogen's a female hormone. We need a little bit of it, but too much is going to make us a woman, period. Number 7, thou shalt move daily. Remember we had the weights? We still got to move daily, incorporating 7 to 10,000 steps a day is beautiful, because that's going to help regulate your blood sugar. It's going to help you lose fat. It's going to help you reduce inflammation. Of course, it boosts that NEAT, that non-exercise activity thermogenesis. Number 8, thou shalt supplement wisely. Remember, this is not what you lead with. This is what you supplement with. So those key supplements like magnesium, zinc, vitamin D3, Tonkat Ali, and so on and so forth. Alpha Max Test 3D Plus. That's my supplement. Get it, use it, but make sure that you have those behaviors in place. Number 9, thou shalt fuel the alpha mindset. We're creating a new wave of man right here, baby. If you're on board, new wave of man, I'm going to put a link in the show notes to grab your t-shirt, grab your gear. That's literally signaling that you are committed to becoming a new wave of man. And number 10, the 10 of 10 commandments is thou shalt reject the low T lifestyle. Stop living like a bitch. Ditch the sedentary living, ditch the porn, ditch the junk food, ditch the excessive alcohol, ditch the weak habits, ditch the weak habits that are making you less masculine and are killing your testosterone levels. And if you're a man over 40 and you actually you've listened to this and said, okay, Funk, I'm ready, man. I'm ready to go. If you have something that can help me naturally increase testosterone, I've been talking about all the time, reclaim your drive, build muscle, and become the strongest version of yourself, then you're going to want to join my Over 40 Alpha Brotherhood program. It's $1 for 30 days. It's like literally the greatest program on the planet. And you can start at $1 for 30 days, literally 30 days of follow along workouts, recovery, nutrition, mindset, sleep. You're going to get weekly coaching. So literally for 30 days, you will be in their group coaching 4 times a week. You're also going to get Ask Funk, where if you have questions, you're going to put in the Facebook group with all of your brothers inside the Brotherhood. I'm going to answer those questions. You know what else happens with inside the Brotherhood? You have access to it on our website or on my app. Hey, man. If you need help, I'm here to help you, because there's been thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of men over the 40, 50, 60, 70 who've transformed their lives. You don't need all of this hokey pokey spokey training. You need training that works. And this is proof. The proof is in the pudding. Just go to over40alpha.com/proof and go look at spend an hour scrolling at all of the transformations and the testimonials that happen on a daily basis. So go to over40alpha.com. Join the Brotherhood for $1 for 30 days. I will prove to you that you'll lose 5 to 20 pounds in 30 days while you start to literally transform your body and your life and your health for you, for your family, and for those around you. Anyways, thank you so much for being part of this podcast. I truly love you. And if you learn anything from this podcast, please give me any type of a rating, man. I don't even care if it's a 5 or 4, just rate. It helps the algorithm. It helps me to create more content for you. And it helps me to create more of these 10 commandments. I hope you enjoy these too. Anyways, I'm the Funkster, and I'll see you on the other side. Get it done.